Hi, and this is Brendan, and you are queued up to watch or listen to another episode of Let's Chat Sales. And in this one, we are diving into how do you go about finding out who the decision maker is? It's not always easy, but there are some simple questions you can ask yourself or actually ask your customer. And we're going to dive into that right now. And as always, like and subscribe. You don't even have to like it. You can give it 4 stars or 3 stars. It depends. It's not a bad one. We'll see. Like, you be the judge. Let's get started. Hey, Bob. So guess what? It's another episode of Let's Chat Sales.
Let's chat sales.
And this time, we're going to wrestle with a particular problem. If you're in a sales environment, at some point or another, you're going to run into this problem. And that is, who's the decision maker? Figuring out who the decision maker is. How does that sound?
I love it. It's an important topic that I will tell you I'm not always that good at. And if you get it wrong, it can really slow you down, if not cripple you.
And this becomes a more difficult problem the larger the organization gets to. So this is particularly a B2B problem. If you're selling to a small organization, a small business, you probably know who the decision maker is. But if it's a large organization, right, it's much harder. So who and
it can change over the course of the process.
Right.
That's really the worst.
Yeah, when reorgs happen or someone quits.
Retires.
Gets fired or whatever. So how do you wrestle with that? For one, you ask people, right? Straight up, who do we need to talk to?
Who's the ultimate decision maker is what I like to ask.
Who's involved in this decision process? And then when they answer, oh, well, it's me. Is it just you? Or are there, like who's from a user standpoint or who's from an engineering standpoint? And the minute you start to, oh, no, it's all me. Is it though? So that's one level, right? And that allows you to sleuth out and kind of tease out who else might be involved. How about you? Other thoughts?
Yeah. One of the ways I do is I like to see who emails go to, from the client. Who do they include in the email? And it's like, oh.
Yeah.
So Donna, tell me about Donna. Oh, she's the VP of sales. She's real. If you're going to get this, you really need Donna to be on board. Like, when can we meet with Donna?
Yeah. Right.
I find that people often put in the emails names that you don't know.
Yep.
And that can be really helpful.
An org chart can help. If you have an org chart, if you know who reports to whom, then that can be helpful, but that isn't always necessarily the final answer.
LinkedIn can be helpful.
Yep. You can kind of figure out org chart stuff from LinkedIn in some cases. Here's one thing. It's invariably never the purchasing people. If you think it's the contracting folks or procurement or purchasing, if that's who you think it is, you're invariably wrong about that. It's not them. And it's probably not IT unless it's an IT product, like a pure IT
But even then,
product.
there's usually someone watching over them.
Yeah. If it's, I used to sell database software, and it's surprising how important the sales and marketing opinion was in terms of making a decision about something as esoteric as relational database software. The other thing to keep in mind is in a lot of companies, especially larger companies, and it depends, again, into certain industries are more this way than others, but it's very consensus driven. Some industries are very, they do everything collaboratively. And I spent a lot of time selling to academic medical centers and hospitals.
I was going to say healthcare tends to be that way.
Partly because they're typically affiliated with universities, medical schools. And as a result, that kind of bleeds into the culture of the organization. So it's very collaborative and consensus driven. And so you have to triangulate a lot. You have to get to know a lot of different people and make sure that you're talking to a lot of different folks and understanding all the different dynamics. And so there may be one decision maker, but that decision maker is going to take the temperature of a lot of other people before they. And sometimes they even do the math in their head. They like, oh, I got, Joe is against me and or against this idea, but Bob is for it and Mary's for it. And they kind of do the math in their head and figure out what they can get away with or what's going to make the least number of people unhappy.
Yes.
So
I thought of another one.
What's that?
I thought of another one, which is if you've done this before, if there's someone with a title that you dealt with or people or committee or team, they might be at another company. And I'm surprised how many times people think of it as brand new. They've never done it before. It's like if you've talked to 7 directors of IT sales, on the 8th, might want to talk to that person.
I'm thinking like cybersecurity stuff. You know who buys that? The 2 groups, as I understand it. cyber people, like security folks,
Yep.
and risk management people.
Yep.
Those two groups typically, and maybe they filter up to the chief operating officer or the CIO, but
Yep.
it's that little group. And sales does not get to vote. That oftentimes doesn't vote on that, and neither does product management and so forth. But in other areas, with other products, it may be much more disseminated or much more spread out, that decision-making process. And as we said in the beginning, that decision maker and identifying those people that are involved, it gets tougher and tougher the larger that organization gets, and the politics that go into that. So,
but it's critical to success.
Yeah. And so ultimately, the takeaway I would say would be ask people. Ask who's involved in this decision and who gets to vote. You could even say, like, whose vote matters the most.
Right.
Granted, we have to address this and this and this, all these things. We have to address these things for everybody. I get that. But whose vote matters? Who gets to cut the baby in half?
Whoa.
Is that the right?
No.
No, you don't cut the baby in half? Which one is that?
Geez.
Isn't that Solomon? Isn't that biblical?
You're asking the wrong guy.
Oh, I think he's like, I think that's biblical. So, so someone is going to have more of a vote, and someone is going to get to say, hey, listen, I'm going to cut through all this, and this is the way we're going to go. And if you can ask enough people, directly or indirectly, they'll tell you. They're going to tell you, and that helps you. And the last thing I'll say on this is budget matters. Who's got the spending money? Who gets to spend the money? Where's the money coming from? You don't have to ask how much the budget is. And where it gets a little difficult, and this is true in larger organizations, is when the budget is split across, like, multiple people are paying, and then that complicates it. It makes it fun if you're into this sort of thing, but it certainly complicates things. So
follow the money.
I don't know if right, exactly. So I don't know. Did we answer that? I think we did.
I think we did. I think we did.
So with that,
can we do this again sometime, Brendan?
I think, why not?
And I would love some people to rate us 5 stars or share what we do.
I think we could. Sometimes I think we do better. 4 stars. I'd like some 4-star ratings, maybe an occasional 3. If you're feeling really generous, a 4. 5.
I gave us a 1 star.
You did. Oh my God, we're going the wrong way. All right, so that's it. I think we did. All right, let's do this again.
All right, sounds good. See you, Brendan.
See you, Bob. Okay, so that was another episode of Let's Chat Sales. And as Bob mentioned, give us a rating, 5 stars or 4 or 3, whatever. And any feedback, we'd love, send it to hello@letschatsales.com. And thanks for listening and watching. And if you're watching, check out this one. All right, thanks.